I've occasionally asked the question who the Kansas City Prophets are, and I'm sometimes asked, am I one of them? And the Kansas City Prophets was a term used in 1990 to about 93. It was about a 3-year period that term was used. It was over 20 years ago. And since then, I've not heard people really use the term unless they're quoting that 3-year period. It's critics quoting our critics from 20 years ago will use the term, but nobody uses the term in a contemporary way in the last 20 years. And there was never a group that were the Kansas City Prophets. There was no such group, actually. It came from a title. It came from a book, a positive book, actually, for us, by an Anglican bishop named David Pitches. He wrote a book about his experience, and he said something like, my experience or testimony with the Kansas City Prophets. He put the term in. I'd never heard the term before that. And we had 4 or 5 guys in our midst who lived in Kansas City that had itinerant prophetic ministries. I did not call them prophets. I called them prophetic, and there's a difference. The office of the prophet and being prophetic are 2 different realities. And so these 4, 5, or 6, and there was no, I don't even know exactly who that group was. I mean, I know the names, that's not what I mean, but was it 5, was it 6? Were they visitors? Did they hang out around here but not committed to us? That number was a little edgy. I mean, unsure. Then there was another about 10 people who liked us and who came through Kansas City once a year, once every 2 years, and maybe spoke at a conference, that did a session at a conference. Those 10 were lumped into it too. So we had 5, 6, 7, or 8, no real number that's clear, that lived here or lived in the area and dropped in regularly with us. Another 10 or 15 that dropped in and visited from other cities. And these prophetic guys and gals, a number of them didn't like each other and didn't agree with each other. So they were by no means a clustered group that anybody identified. Certainly we did not identify them. But the bishop from England coined the phrase, and he might have meant 4 or 5 of them only. I don't know, because it was 20 years plus since I've read the book. But our critics took the phrase, and any one of those 5 or 10 that were local or in the region, or 10 or 15 that visited from other places, our critics gave them all the title. All of those people had that title. So there was no real way to define, to answer for, because there was no such group that had a body of doctrine. And so, no, I'm not one of them. And I mean, the prominent prophetic guys in our midst were Bob Jones and Paul Cain. I mean, if somebody had to pick 2 people in those early days, it would have to be those 2. But that's not what the term means. It means 10 or 20 people or more of an undefined group that were not associated with each other in any kind of regular way or any kind of technical way. And so it's really a misnomer term that we never used. And I mean, not to my knowledge did anybody in our midst ever use it, because when I first heard the term, I didn't even like it. I go, that term is confusing. And then our critics picked up on it real quick and put everybody under that banner they didn't like that ever visited us.